Hello friends, welcome to Prashant IAS. So friends, in the last class, we have discussed about the dissolution of Lok Sabha and its effect on the pending bills. So friends, in this class, we will continue our discussion further. So friends, as you can see on the screen, the topic of today's class is funds in India. Okay, so in this class, we will study about different kind of funds in India. So friends, let's begin. So friends, the first type of fund is called as the consolidated fund. Okay, so the first type of fund is called as the consolidated fund. Now friends, there are two types of consolidated funds. Okay, so now for consolidated fund can further be divided into two types. The first type is the consolidated fund of India. Okay, so the first type is consolidated fund of India and the second type is consolidated fund for states. Now what does it mean? So it means that there is a separate consolidated fund. There is a separate consolidated fund for entire India. Okay, so the consolidated fund of India is a fund for entire India. Now friends, I have told you in the previous classes that there are many states in India. India is a federal country. Okay, so each state also has its separate consolidated fund. For example, we can say that the state of Madhya Pradesh has its separate consolidated fund. The state of Uttar Pradesh has its separate consolidated fund. Okay, so there are many states in India and all the states also have their separate consolidated funds. So consolidated funds can be divided into two categories. The first is consolidated fund of India and the second is consolidated fund for states. Okay, so there is a one consolidated fund for entire India and there are separate consolidated fund for all the states. So each state has its own consolidated fund. Now friends, let us move forward to a very important question. So as here we are studying the Constitution of India, so now we should encounter a fundamental question. A question should come to the minds of students that in which article of Indian Constitution consolidated fund of India and consolidated funds for state is given. Okay, so now naturally a question should come to our minds that if there is a consolidated fund, okay, and there are two types of consolidated funds. One consolidated fund is for entire country, which is known as consolidated fund of India, and each state is having its own different consolidated fund, which is known as consolidated fund for states. Okay, so for example, the state of MP is having its separate consolidated fund. The state of UP has having its different separate consolidated fund. So now a question should come to your minds that which article of Indian Constitution discusses about these consolidated funds. In which article of the Constitution consolidated fund of India and consolidated fund for states is given. So friends, the answer to this question is that Article 266 of the Indian Constitution. Article 266 of the Indian Constitution discuss about the consolidated funds, or we can say that the consolidated fund of India and the consolidated fund for states is given under Article 266 of Indian Constitution. So now you have to remember that both of these funds means the consolidated fund of India as well as the consolidated fund for states. So both of these funds are given under Article 266 of the Indian Constitution. So friends, till now I have told you that there is a consolidated fund and there are two types of consolidated funds. Consolidated fund of India and consolidated fund for states. And I have also told you that these consolidated funds are given under Article 266 of the Indian Constitution. So now we know very little thing. Okay, so now we know very little thing about the consolidated funds. But now the main question is that what is consolidated fund? So now you should say me that sir, you have taught us about the consolidated fund, that there is a consolidated fund of India, there are consolidated fund for different states. But what is consolidated fund? Okay, so now we have to study the meaning of consolidated fund. That what is the meaning of consolidated fund? What is consolidated fund? Okay, so now we will discuss about the meaning of consolidated fund, or what is consolidated fund. So friends, for this purpose, let us just assume that this black circle is consolidated fund. Okay, so now just assume that this entire black circle which I have drawn on the screen, this black circle which I have drawn in the screen, this black circle is the entire consolidated fund. Okay, now friends, it can be the consolidated fund for entire India, okay, or it can be the consolidated fund of a separate state also. Okay, so basically the functioning of consolidated fund of India and the consolidated fund for states is same. So you can assume that it is consolidated fund of India, or you can also assume that this is the consolidated fund for states. Okay, so now I am assuming that this is consolidated fund of India. So what is the meaning of consolidated fund of India? So friends, consolidated fund of India means, so friends, before understanding the meaning of consolidated fund of India or the consolidated fund for states, first of all we have to understand that what is the meaning of this word fund. Okay, so when you will understand the meaning of fund, then it will become very easy for you to understand the meaning of consolidated fund. So what is the meaning of this word fund? So fund basically means a sum of money. Okay, so what is the meaning of sum? Fund, the meaning of fund is a sum of money that is collected for a particular purpose. Okay, so basically fund means a sum of money, a collection of money, a pool of money. Okay, for example, let's suppose if this is a box. Okay, so let's suppose if this is a box. Okay, and let's suppose that if you have to buy new television for your house. Okay, and the price of television is, let's suppose, 50,000 rupees. Okay, so you have to buy a new television for house, and the price of television is, let's suppose, 50,000 rupees. Okay, and let's suppose that you are 5 brothers. Okay, how many brothers you are? You are 5 brothers. So what happened? Let's suppose that, for example, let's suppose you are having 10,000 rupees in your pocket. One of your brother is having 15,000 rupees. Another brother is having 5,000 rupees. The next brother is having, let's suppose, again 12,000 rupees. And the last brother is having, let's suppose, 8,000 rupees. So what happened that you deposited these 10,000 rupees in this box. Okay, your next brother also deposited 15,000 rupees. Then this brother deposited his 5,000 rupees. Then the next brother deposited his 12,000 rupees, and the last brother deposited his 8,000 rupees in this box. So what happened here, that all of you, means all of you 5 brothers, all you brothers have created a fund. So this is a type of fund. So fund means it is a sum of money. So what you have done, you have created a pool of money. You all have together created a sum of money, and there is a purpose. What is the purpose? The purpose is to buy a television. Okay, so now when you will sum all these money, then what will happen, that you will find that you have collected how much money? 50,000 money in this box. You have collected 50,000 rupees in this fund. Okay, so then you can easily buy a television. So this can be a simple example of fund. So fund basically means a sum of money which is collected for some purpose. So here what happened, that you all, means you all 5 brothers created a fund, and you together deposited 50,000 rupees in this fund. Okay, then you bought a television by using this fund. So this can be the simplest example of a fund. Okay, now friends, this is the example of fund at a very small level. Now if you will consider this example at a very large level, then you will be easily able to understand the meaning of consolidated fund. So I have just told you that what happened, that you how much money do you had in your pocket? So I told you that you had 10,000 rupees in your pocket. Okay, one of your brother had how much? 15,000 rupees in his pocket. So from where this money come? Definitely you all must be working Okay, let's suppose you are a software engineer and you save 10,000 rupees out of your salary. So this was your income. Okay, similarly, let's suppose one of your brother is a government servant and he is also receiving salary for his work. So he also saved how much money? 15,000 rupees from his salary. Okay, so it means that you all are earning money. So friends, in the similar way, government also earns money. Okay, so this is the main idea which I want to give you, that what happens as you earn money, your father earn money, your brother earn money, your neighbor earn money. In the similar way, the government of India and the government of states also earn money. Okay. So friends, now the question is that how the government earns money. Okay, so you can say that, sir, I am a software engineer, so I am receiving salary for my work and from my salary I am earning money. You can say, sir, that my brother is a government servant and he is also receiving salary for his work and he is earning money from his salary. You can say that, sir, my father is a businessman, so he is earning money out of the profit. Okay, so here you can clearly identify that from where a individual is earning money. You can say that, sir, my sister is a lawyer, so she is receiving fees from her clients, and from the fees she is earning a very good amount of money. But the question is that how the government earns money. Okay, so how the government earns money. For example, I have give you an example that where five brothers created a fund to buy a television. So what happened, that they all deposited their savings in a box and this box acted like a fund. Okay, so all of them put their saving in the fund in a box and that box acted like a fund, and when the money was collected, so they went to the let's suppose the showroom of television and they bought a television from there. So the question is that how the government earns money. So friends, government can earn money in many ways. For example, government can earn money from the tax. Okay, so we all give tax to the government. For example, if you are a working individual, if you are receiving salary, then you have to give income tax to the government. Okay, so government, we all are paying tax to the government in one or the other way. So there can be many type of taxes. For example, income tax. Okay, so let's suppose that if you are a working individual, let's suppose you are a software engineer and you are earning how much money? You are earning 1 lakh rupees per month for your work. Okay, so you are a software engineer and you are getting a salary of 1 lakh rupees per month for your work. Okay, means in the 12-month period, means in the entire year, you are earning 12 lakh rupees per year. Okay, so now you have to pay a very good amount of income tax to the government. Okay, so anyone who is earning money, he has to pay income tax to the government. Income tax is levied on the income. So if you have a income, if you are earning money, then you have to pay tax to the government. And definitely the people earning money below a certain amount are exempted from the income tax, but here we are not discussing about income tax. I am just explaining you that how the government earns money. So what happens, that if an individual is getting income, if an individual is earning money, then he has to pay income tax on his income. So in this way government can earn money. Okay, moreover friends, you all must have listened or read somewhere about the concept known as GST. Okay, so GST is a very famous concept. You all must have studied GST. Either you have listened about GST, or I think that you all must have studied about GST, because definitely you all are IAS aspirants. Okay, so what is the full form of GST? So GST is goods and service tax. So what happens in GST, that if you are buying any good from market, if you are buying any good from market, or if you are buying any service from market, then you have to pay tax to the government for it. Okay, means if you are buying goods or you are buying services, then you have to pay tax to the government for it, and that's why the name is goods and service tax. So goods and service tax means if you are buying goods or you are buying services, you have to pay tax to the government. Now for example, let's suppose if you have purchased a bike. Okay, so let's suppose if you have purchased a bike from the market, then you have to pay GST on that bike. Okay, so you have to pay GST on that bike. So let's suppose if you have purchased a bike whose worth is around 1 lakh rupees. Okay, so let's suppose you have purchased a particular bike and the price of that bike is, let's suppose, 1 lakh rupees. Okay, then let's suppose the GST rate on the bike is 28%. So, okay, so now I don't know what is the actual rate, I am just giving you an example. So let's suppose if the rate of GST on the bikes is 28%, then you have to pay 28% rupees more on this amount. Okay, means you are paying 28,000 more, and this entire 28,000 will be the income of government. Okay, so this entire 28,000 rupees will not go to company, will not go to manufacturer, this money will go to the government. Okay, so in this way government earns money. Okay, so even if you are buying a biscuit from market, let's suppose if you are buying Parle G or any brand's biscuit. Okay, so if you are buying even a biscuit or any snacks from the market, then also you have to provide GST to the government. Okay, and government is earning a very good amount of money from GST. Now, how the GST is levied on the services? Okay, so let's suppose that you want to become a lawyer. Okay, so let's suppose that if you want to become a lawyer, now we all know that if a person wants to become a lawyer, then what he has to do? He has to do graduation, he has to do LLB. Okay, means he has to acquire bachelor's degree in law. Okay, now we know that for getting admission in very good law college, a person has to fight a exam known as CLAT. Okay, so CLAT is a exam which a person has to fight for getting admission in very good law colleges, for example in National Law University. Okay, now for fighting the CLAT exam, for clearing the CLAT exam, a individual who wants to become a very good lawyer, he will definitely go to a coaching. Okay, he will go to coaching and he will pay fees to the coaching institute. Okay, so let's suppose if the person has paid a fees of 50,000 rupees to the coaching institute, and I'm just assuming that let's suppose the GST on the service is 18%. So this person has now has to pay a GST of 18% on this amount. So what will be the 18% of 50,000? So it will be around somewhat let's say 9,000. Okay, so means you are paying rupees 50,000 to the coaching institute, but you are also paying rupees 9,000 to the government. Okay, so government is levying tax on each and everything, whether you are buying a service or you are buying a goods from the market, you have to pay tax to the government. For example, you all are IAS aspirants. If you have to take a coaching, okay, and if you are paying fees for your coaching, then you have to also pay GST to the government. Okay, so you have to pay fees to the coaching institute as well as you have to pay GST to the government. So I just want to say that government is earning money from tax, and government is earning a huge amount of money from tax. So now my question is that where government keeps all this money? Okay, so what is the question? So the question is that, for example, you all 5 brothers deposited your money in a box in order to buy a television. Okay, so the question is that where the government keeps its money received from tax. So let me give you one more example. For example, if you are a working individual, okay, let's suppose you are working for a private company and you are receiving rupees 50,000 for your work. Okay, now you know that I can spend, let's suppose, 20,000 in a month. So but I can save 30,000 rupees in a month. So what you will do, you will keep this 20,000 rupees separate for your expenditure, and you will then say that I will save these 30,000 rupees. So either you will deposit these 30,000 rupees in a bank, or you can deposit these 30,000 rupees in a box in your home. Okay, so what is happening here, that you are just saving or depositing or keeping your money either in bank or in a box in your house, a box or a almirah in your house. So the question is that where government keeps its money, whether government keeps its money in the bank or government is also having some box in its house. Okay, so now are you getting my question, that where government keeps this money? So friends, the answer to this question is the Consolidated Fund of India. So what happens, that the government of India, so what happens, that if government of India is receiving money from tax if government of India is receiving money from tax, then government of India will deposit the tax money in the consolidated fund of India. Okay, and if the government of states is receiving money from tax, then the government of state will deposit that money in the consolidated fund for that state. For example, if the government of Madhya Pradesh will receive money from the tax, then the government of Madhya Pradesh will deposit that money in the consolidated fund for Madhya Pradesh. In the similar way, when the government of India receives money from the tax, whether it is income tax or it is GST or it is any other kind of tax, the main thing is keyword is tax. So if the government is receiving money from tax, then the government deposits that money in the consolidated fund. So if government of India is receiving money from tax, then government of India deposits that money in the consolidated fund of India. Now friends, after this, let's suppose this is a person and the name of this person is, let's suppose, Totu Lal. Okay, so let's suppose the name of this person is Totu Lal, and this is he is a working individual, and let's suppose he is working in a private company and he is earning, let's suppose, 20,000 rupees per month. Okay, so Totu Lal is a working individual and he is working in a private company and he is earning 20,000 rupees per month. Okay, so this is his basic income. Now friends, now let's suppose this is the home of this person Totu Lal and this is the office of this person Totu Lal, and the distance from home to office is, let's suppose, 10 kilometers. So definitely this Totu Lal is not having any bike. He is also not having any car, means he is not having any personal means of transport. So he is totally dependent on public means of transport, means either he has to take a bus or he has to take train or taxi for going to office, and now he is totally tired, he is totally sick of going to office by the public transport. Now Totu Lal has decided that he wants to buy a bike. Okay, and let's suppose the worth of bike is 1 lakh rupees. But as the salary of Totu Lal is very less, and let's suppose the total savings of Totu Lal is only 50,000 rupees. Okay, means Totu Lal has only saved 50,000 rupees in his entire lifetime, and if he wants to buy a bike of worth 1 lakh rupees, then he has to arrange for 50,000 more rupees. Okay, but his salary is very less and he has his expenditures also. He has to spend money on grocery, he has to spend money on electricity, on house rent and many other things. Okay, so let's suppose he is only able to save 5,000 rupees per month. Okay, so his total savings are 50,000 and he needs 50,000 more to buy a bike. So now my question is that from where can he arrange these extra 50,000 rupees? Okay, so if he wants to buy a bike, then from where he can arrange, from where he can get this extra 50,000 rupees? So friends, the simplest answer to this question can be that he can simply borrow this much amount of money from his friends or from his relatives. Okay, so he can borrow this amount of money from his friends and from his relatives. So he can approach his relatives, he can approach his friends that please provide me only 50,000 rupees and slowly I will repay all your amount. Okay, so what Totu Lal is doing, he is taking loan. Okay, so what he is doing, he is taking loan. Okay, now friends, we will apply this same concept on the government. Now let's suppose what happened, that government is earning a very good amount of money from tax, but let's suppose what happens, that now government is in a urgent need of money. Government urgently needs money, but the money received from tax is less. So what government can do? So now government of India can also take loan. Okay, now from where government can take loan? So government can take loan from various institutions. For example, government of India can take loan from World Bank. Okay, government of India can also take loan from other countries. Okay, so there are certain very rich countries in the world, and there is no need to take the name of these countries, and India has very good relationship with these countries. So government of India can also take loan personally from other countries. There are other financial institutions also from where government of India can raise loan. Okay, so now the question is, let's suppose government of India has taken loan from World Bank. Now where, okay, but government of India cannot keep. Okay, let's suppose government took a loan of 50 crore. Let's suppose government took a loan of let's say 50,000 crores from World Bank. Okay, now 50,000 crores is a very big amount of money. So government cannot keep this money in pocket. Okay, Prime Minister of India, President of India cannot keep this much amount of money at home. So what happens, that government deposits the loan amount in the consolidated fund of India. Okay, so if government of India is taking any loan, then government of India will deposit the amount of loan in the consolidated fund of India. And if the government of any state is taking loan, then the government of that state will deposit the amount in the consolidated fund for that state. Okay, so if government is earning money from tax, then government is depositing it in consolidated fund, and if government is taking money as loan, then also government has to deposit that money in the consolidated fund. So this is the second source of income for consolidated fund. Now friends, after this, government also owns many companies. Okay, and these companies are known as public sector undertakings, or we can also call them as PSUs. Okay, so government is also the owner of many companies. Okay, for example, we can, okay, so now I am giving you the example of some government central public sector undertakings. Central PSUs means the PSUs or public sector undertakings, or we can also say the companies of which the central government is owner. Okay, so for example, NTPC means National Thermal Power Corporation. So this is a central public sector undertaking. So this is a kind of company, and the government of India is the owner of NTPC. Okay, after this we can take the example of ONGC. So ONGC is Oil and Natural Gas Corporation. After that we can take the example of SAIL. SAIL is Steel Authority of India Limited. After that we can take the example of VAIL. So what is VAIL? VAIL is Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited. Okay, and there are many more companies. Okay, so I think that you all must be familiar with the companies like BSNL. So BSNL is also a government owned company. Okay, now what happens? Okay, so for example, BSNL is a government owned company. Similarly, SBI is also a government owned bank. Okay, so State Bank of India, and many of you must be having your account in SBI. SBI is a very famous bank in India. So SBI is also government owned bank. Okay, so these are companies. For example, Reliance Jio is a company. Reliance Jio is a telecom company. Okay, but the owner of Reliance Jio is a private individual. But on the other hand, BSNL is also a telecom company. Okay, but the owner of BSNL is the government of India. Okay, so Reliance Jio is also a telecom company, and BSNL is also a telecom company, but the owner of Jio is a private individual, whereas the owner of BSNL is a government of India. Similarly, the owner of SBI is government of India. So what happens, that all these PSUs means public sector undertakings, or you can also call them government companies. Okay, you can also call them government companies. So what happens, that all these PSUs do business. Okay, so they do business and they earn profit. For example, Reliance Jio is doing business in India, and Reliance Jio is earning profit in India. Similarly, these public sector undertakings, these PSUs are also doing business in India, and these PSUs are earning a lot of money and profit. Okay, now friends, let's suppose if Reliance Jio is earning profit, then the owner of Jio and the entire Jio company is earning money out of that profit. But if BSNL or SBI or ONGC, any of the public sector undertakings is getting profit, then who will own this money? So definitely government of India will going to own this money. Okay, so if any of the PSU is earning profit, for example, if BSNL is earning profit, if State Bank of India is earning profit, then who will be the owner of this money? Definitely the government of India will be the owner of this money. Okay, now my question is again same. So my question is that where government deposits the money which is received from the profit. Okay, so we can also call this like that government is also doing business and government is also earning profit from that business. So where the government is depositing money which is earned out of profit. So friends, the government is depositing that profit in the consolidated fund. Okay, so we can also call that profit as the income of government. Okay, for example, if the central government is earning profit, if central government is getting income, that central government will deposit the money in the consolidated fund of India. Whereas if any state government is earning profit, okay, because state government are also owning many PSUs, many public sector undertakings. So if state government is earning profit from the PSUs, if state government is earning income, then state government will deposit the money in the consolidated fund for the respective states. Okay. Now friends, based on this discussion, we can conclude that the government earns money from three basic sources. So these all sources are the sources of basic income for the government. So the first source is tax collected, then the second source is loan, and the third is the income of government or the profit earned by government. Okay, so the government deposits the tax money in the consolidated fund of India, government deposits the loans in the consolidated fund of India, and the government deposits income in the consolidated fund of India. Okay, so if central government is collecting tax, if central government is taking loan, and if central government is earning profit, then central government will deposit this money in the consolidated fund of India. On the other hand, if the government of a state is collecting tax, if the government of a state is taking loan, if the government of a state is earning profit, is earning income, then the government of that state will deposit that money in the consolidated fund for that respective state. Okay, so this is the meaning of consolidated fund of India. Now friends, after this you have to remember one more thing, that consolidated, okay, so definitely the government of India has many funds. Similarly, the government of each state is also having many funds. But the largest fund, okay, so the question is, which is the largest fund of the government of India? So the answer to this question is that the consolidated fund of India is the largest fund of government of India. Okay, so we can also say that the consolidated fund of India is the largest, is the biggest fund of the government of India. Now friends, after this the next question is that at whose disposal the consolidated fund of India is placed, and at whose disposal the consolidated fund for states is placed. Okay, so first of all we will discuss about consolidated fund of India. So what is the question? So the question is that whose disposal, at whose disposal the consolidated fund of India is placed. So what is the answer to this question? So the answer to this question is that the consolidated fund of India is placed at the disposal of Parliament. Okay, consolidated fund of India is placed at the disposal of Parliament. Okay, now if we are talking about the consolidated fund for states, then at whose disposal the consolidated fund of states is placed. So we can say that the consolidated fund of a state is placed at the disposal of that state's legislature. Okay, so consolidated fund of India is placed at the disposal of Parliament, and consolidated fund for states is placed at the disposal of state's legislature. But friends, the most basic question is that what is the meaning of this statement that consolidated fund of India is placed at the disposal of Parliament? What is the meaning of this statement? Because I know that I have just said this statement, but very few students have got the meaning of this statement. So now I will tell you the meaning of this statement. So the meaning of this statement is that money cannot be, okay, so money cannot be withdrawn from consolidated fund of India without the permission of Parliament. Okay, Now what does it mean? It means that if government of India has to withdraw, if government of India has to withdraw money from consolidated fund of India, then government of India has to take the permission of parliament. Similarly, if government of India has to deposit, if government of India has to deposit money in the consolidated fund of India, then also government of India has to take the permission of parliament. So disposal means consolidated, disposal means parliament is the in charge of consolidated fund of India. Okay, so now are you getting the meaning of disposal? So disposal means basically parliament is the in charge of consolidated fund of India. It means that government of India cannot deposit even a single penny. Government of India cannot deposit even a single rupee in the consolidated fund of India without the permission of parliament. And similarly, government of India cannot withdraw even a single rupee from the consolidated fund of India without the permission of parliament. Okay, so what happens that if the government of India wants to deposit money in consolidated fund of India, then government has to take the permission of parliament. Similarly, if government of India wants to withdraw money from consolidated fund of India, then government has to take the permission of parliament again. Okay, now friends, for state legislatures the condition is very similar to that of parliament. Now what does it mean? It means that we know that for every state there is a consolidated fund for that respective state. Okay, now let's suppose the government of that state wants to deposit, okay, government of that state want to deposit money in the consolidated fund for that state. Then the government has to take the permission of the state legislature. Similarly, let's suppose if government want to withdraw, government of a state want to withdraw money from the consolidated fund for of that state, then government has to take the permission of state's legislature. Okay, and friends, in the case of consolidated fund for states, only after the permission of state legislature, only after the permission of state's legislature, government of a particular state is able to deposit money in the consolidated fund, and government of the state is able to withdraw money from the consolidated fund for that state. Okay, so we can say that the consolidated fund of India is placed at the disposal of parliament. Means the government of India has to take the permission of parliament before depositing or withdrawing money from the consolidated fund of India. Similarly, the consolidated fund for every state is placed at the disposal of state's legislature. Means if the government of a state wants to withdraw money or wants to deposit money in the consolidated fund for that state, then the government of that particular state has to take the permission from the legislature of that state. Okay. Now friends, after this there is one more thing which is known as appropriation of money. Now what is the meaning of appropriation of money? So appropriation of money means fixing the areas where the money will be used. Okay, so appropriation means fixing the areas where the money will be used. Now what does it mean? So let's suppose, okay, so let's suppose this is government of India. Okay, now government of India knows that how much money government has to spend. Now government has to fix certain areas where the money will be used. For example, government can say that let's suppose 10,000 crore rupees will be spent in the construction of highways. Okay, so government can say, government can fix, government can appropriate that 10,000 rupees will be spent in the construction of highways. Similarly, government can say that 20,000 rupees will be spent in the construction of health infrastructure. For example, in the construction of hospitals. Okay, so what is the meaning of appropriation of money? So appropriation of money means the fixing the areas. Appropriation means fixing the areas where the money will be used. So government appropriates the money, means government fixes the areas where the money will be used. For example, here I have given you two examples. So in the first case, government has appropriated that 10,000 crore rupees will be used in the construction of highways. 20,000 crore rupees will be used in the construction of health infrastructure. Health infrastructure, for example, in buying equipment for hospitals, in the construction of hospitals. Okay. Now, from where this money will be come. Okay, so from where the government will arrange this 10,000 crore or 20,000 crore rupees. So definitely friends, government will take money from Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, government of India will take this money from Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, but before taking the money out, government has appropriated the money. Appropriated the money means government has fixed the areas where the money will be used. So friends, what happens for the appropriation of money out of Consolidated Fund of India? Government of India needs to take the permission of Parliament. Okay, now what does it means? It means that before fixing the areas where the money will be used from Consolidated Fund of India, Government of India has to take the permission of Parliament. Means without Parliament's permission, no money can be appropriated out of Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, so what I am saying that without Parliament's permission, no money can be appropriated out of Consolidated Fund of India. It means that without the permission of Parliament, Government of India cannot even fix the areas where the money will be used from Consolidated Fund of India. Now friends, this case is also same with the states. So what happens that the government of any state needs the permission of state legislature. Okay, so government of states need the permission of state legislature for appropriating the money out of the Consolidated Fund for state. Okay, means if government of a state want to fix the areas where the money will be used from the Consolidated Fund for that state, then government of that state has to take the permission from the state's legislature. So friends, I hope that you all must have enjoyed the lecture, and if you have enjoyed the lecture, then please like the video, comment, subscribe the channel, press the bell icon and select all. And friends, share this channel to all the people you know who are preparing for UPSC or any other state PSC. Now friends, we will meet in next class. Till then, stay healthy, stay indoor, take care of yourself. Thank you.